The Namipu Indians of the Northern Plateau region were a tribe known for their power and peaceful nature. They were not a warlike people, and the occasional group of wanderers searching for food and shelter were likely to have been peacefully absorbed into the community rather than fought. The name Namipu was one that the people called themselves. It was not until French fur traders saw these people with large piercings in their noses that they were given the name Nez Perce. And so the Nez Perce lived, for the most part, a peaceful existence on the plateau. Their migratory lifestyle moved them with the seasons across a 13 million acre territory to hunt, fish, and gather nuts, roots, and berries. They were a tribe of loosely associated extended families who shared a strongly woven social fabric and a deep spiritual connection to their environment. They believed that the creative power had made the earth, and the earth, in turn, had given birth to her people. They believed that their deep relationship with Mother Earth had made them strong and brought them many good things in their lives. It is hard for 21st century Americans to think of Native Americans without horses, but until Cortez brought horses to the Americas in 1500, they were unknown to the natives here. Horses came to the Nez Perce people through trade with tribes from the south. With the access to horses came the advancement of a new hunting tool and a new mode of transportation. By the time settlers made it as far west as the Nez Perce, they were a tribe of experienced horsemen. In 1804, Lewis and Clark encountered the Nez Perce Indians for the first time. Clark recorded his first meeting with the tribe. "A man came out to meet me with great caution and conducted us to a large, spacious lodge, which he told me by sign was the lodge of his great chief." The entry goes on to tell about the generosity of the women and older men left in the camp. They offered dried fruit and buffalo and soup and bread of the camas fruit. Lewis had noted the authority of the chief being nothing more than mere admonition. In fact, every man is a chief, a system that the Nez Perce used to their advantage. There was no single chief or leader to the tribe. Decisions, no matter how large or small, were made by council. These people have shown much greater acts of hospitality than we have witnessed from any nation or tribe since we have passed the Rocky Mountains. Without the assistance of the Nez Perce, it is questionable if Lewis and Clark expedition would have been successfully concluded. In 1830, 4 young Nez Perce men traveled to St. Louis to meet with the bishop and learn more of Christianity. Many Nez Perce remained steadfast in their traditional beliefs, but others converted to Christianity. This was another area where the influence of white men caused friction and division within the tribe. Around the same time, Nez Perce acquired guns, and by the mid-1800s they were well-armed, experienced warriors with exceptional equestrian skills. However, by tradition and nature, they were a peaceful people, and in 1855, the Nez Perce entered into a treaty in which they gave away the rights to more than half of their ancestral land to the incoming whites in an effort to protect and maintain their way of life. This, however, was not the case. In 1860, discovery of gold in the plateau changed everything. Early settlers had arrived in a slow stream, with only a small number choosing to take on the challenges of its harsh environment. The treaty, signed only 5 years earlier, had little to no effect on where the prospectors settled and what they did. Their treatment of the earth was seen by the Nez Perce as an affront to the Creator. In order to preserve peace, the government ordered Nez Perce onto reservations. For those who had become farmers, this was not a hardship, but for those who still hunted, fished, and followed the harvest, it was not feasible. They did their best to stay out of the way of the white men without moving onto reservations, but the population was continuing to grow. Settlements cropped up around prosperous mines, which turned into towns. In 1863, another treaty was signed, which reduced the reservations by 80% and scattered it into small pieces around the mines and towns of the settlers. Despite repeated demand to remain on the reservation by the governor and the Indiana agent, Chief Joseph refused to give in, and the traditionalists band loyal to him and continued their lives in much the same way as their ancestors. Young Joseph became chief upon the passing of his father in 1871. The old chief had told him never to sell their homeland, and the young man promised his father he would not. They continued to defy the authorities, but remained peaceful with their white neighbors. This infuriated the settlers, who demanded they be forced onto the reservations. In 1875, Chief Joseph met with General Howard, the new commander of the Department of the Columbia. It was a cordial meeting, and the general tried to negotiate with the chief to entice him to move his people onto the reservations. The chief explained, "When the creative power made the earth, he made no marks, no lines of division or separation upon it, and that it should be allowed to remain that way." Howard was impressed with the chief and his reasoned, peaceful ways, and made suggestions to his fellow leaders that the Nez Perce should be able to keep their valley for themselves. However, the settlers continued to press for the forced relocation of the non-treaty Nez Perce. In order to incite a response from the government, settlers made false reports to the governor of theft and belligerence. General Howard was one of the very few whites who defended the Nez Perce and attempted to disprove these accusations. Eventually, in an attempt to escape the encroaching settlers, the remaining non-treaty natives traveled far out of their homelands. They looked to their allies, the Crow, to help them. However, the Crow ultimately turned and fought against their once close friends. After a long journey, and in last try to escape to Canada, many Nez Perce were brutally massacred in a surprise attack launched by the government. This forced Chief Joseph to surrender, and the traditional ways of the Nez Perce were from that point on lost. Hear me, my chiefs. I am tired. My heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more, forever.